Greetings over the diaspora. To those that don't speak the languages that we speak, thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new to the space here, please let's start by subscribing. If this is content that resonates with you, if you're browsing by, that's totally okay as well. Thank you so much, the spiritual G's that have been here before and you guys are returning. Really appreciate you guys, all of you guys from day one, to the ones that found us on the path, to the ones that just recently joined us. Thank you so much. But regular greeting, welcome to Stoneless United, the Wake and Bake Gang, the Queer, the Current Conscious, the Knowledge Seekers, Knowledge Collectors, Black Consciousness Gang, PAC Gang, Boko Gang, Politics Gang, Religious Gang, Air Benders, Water Benders, Fire Benders, Earth Benders, a Chakra Hands Tarot Card Gang, Togoza Boko Gang, Makosi Gang, as long as we're all here in love and light. But this is for knowledge seekers and knowledge collectors right here. So as much as I'm the one in front of the camera, I enjoy learning from you guys. Please let's engage in the comment section. Thank you so much. And it does help with the algorithm because, you know, sleeping is good for the world, right? Yeah. But anyway, let's get into today's episode. And today is the final episode in the Ma'at season, Kapa Ma'ati, depending on the school that you are learning this from. But yes, Ma'at, Ma'ati. And the colonialists took it and made it Mayet, right? So if you're familiar with Greek mythology, that would be the term that you are maybe familiar with. But she's also called Lady of Truth, Lady of Justice, Law and Order, Balance, the consort to Jehuti. So today we're going to be closing our season, and tomorrow we're getting into the episodes from my podcast. So please come join us at 8 p.m. Please come with questions. Please come with contributions. Please come with anything that we can learn from each other, right? So 8 p.m. on the Moya podcast tomorrow. But anyway, while closing our season in Yamaati, we said that we're going to speak about the animals, and last week we touched a bit on the 7 ideals of, touched extensively on the 7 ideals of Ma'ati. And then I said this week we're going to wrap it up and just link it to a chakra point where this would be representative of, right, from these 7 ideals. Even though we have discovered, or we have received these beautiful downloads that actually it's not 22, it's not whatever number 36, I know other people say 36, but in totality 42 there might be more, right, depending on the school of thought and new discoveries, I guess. But for now we know that the Totza, what anchors us in our body, our chakra points, D42. But from that, we say that also this is where the 10 commandments would be taken from the negative confessions of Ma'at, or what we call here the affirmations of Ma'at, right? And we say that beginning of the day, we say, I will not do this. At the end of the day, we say, I have not done this. You confess the ones that you haven't done, right? So I don't like that, negative confessions. It sounds a bit more. So it's the 42 affirmations of Ma'ati, right? That helps us live a very virtuous life, a very life of balance and truth, where all chakras are aligned and all of that. And I said from that as well, and I am being cognizant of me speaking fast, but like the regular spiritual G said that, people must slow it down, right? Or if you're used to me, I guess it would make sense, but I'll try to slow down for the benefit of everybody else, right? But if I slow down, then I literally lose my train of thought. So that is why also I'm trying. Well, it's decades of practice and habit, I guess. But anyway, from the 42 laws, then they were compressed into the 7 ideals. And I said that if you can at least anchor yourself with these 7 ones, then at least you're able to sort of fulfill the rest of the 42, right? And I'm just going to read that part, and then we're going to wrap it up with the animals now. So I made notes on my phone here. So we said the 7 ideals: get truth, get order, get justice, balance, get morality, reciprocity, and harmony. And I also want to touch a little bit on reciprocity before we close off. I know we touched on all 7, so don't quote me on this one. So these are just spiritual downloads that I'm getting. We haven't verified them as yet, but just in a way where I feel it makes sense. We're just gonna liken it to this one. Okay, if you're struggling with this point, which chakra should you be working on? The meditations to that, the affirmations to that, and all of that, right? So we have Lady Khosikadi Lefente, who does our palm reading. So she's able to also assist you with, okay, which chakra points do you need to focus on? We also have the Reiki massages here as well, if you know which chakra point you're struggling with, right? But it's a bit more intense. It's not the regular Reiki that you get at other institutions. Anyway, so from the 7 ideals, right? So for truth, right, what resonates with truth, get the chakra point here, the throat chakra, right? So the more truth that you're speaking, the more expressions that you're making, the more truthful that you are to yourself, number one, and also others, what you give out as well. That is where you're literally working on your throat chakra. So things like cursing, saying low vibrational words, or suppressing yourself as well, you know, it affects the other chakras, but ultimately your throat it was blocked by such things, right, where you're not able to express your truth, where you're not able to, again, links to my art, your truth, where you're not able to say what it is that you're feeling without taking away from somebody else, if that makes sense, right? And then we go to the justice. So the justice to this, even though some are gonna overlap, right, like with all our principles, they work in unison as much as they are their own sub-planet or some sub solar system of their own, or sub system of their own, but collectively they work as one. So that is why at times you'll see, okay, but I can also put this one here. That's why I said, remember that as much as we say in and the Ma'at season, we focus here on our all-seeing eye as well as our crown chakra, but also some scholars prefer that we also work on the heart chakra, because that is where the skills of Ma'at would come into play, where the heart is like another mind center, where if you're able to balance your heart chakra or balance, heal, whatever, work on your heart chakra, then you're able to balance your lower selves below your higher selves, right? So justice, that's the crown chakra, where I'm feeling like all truth, all balance, all things that cannot be disputed will be lying there, right? And then we get the balance, and balance easily. We say that together, root chakra and Heron, right? Our stabilizing, our safety, and all of that. And once you have all of that, it's very easy to ascend now to the other three chakras. And we didn't speak a lot. I think next year, probably the series are next year, or when we do continue on the Maya podcast, maybe we'll focus on the chakra points some more, just to give them a bit of breathing room for that, right? Because I feel like root is one that is very, 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 very important. You know, that is what sort of anchors us into the person that we present ourselves to be. That is where we also get these childhood wounds, or inner child wounds, or inner child healing work that we need to do, you know, where we get the shell work that we need to do, because our roots, our course, our balance is shaky, right? And you know, in life and in stories, but a shaky foundation cannot anchor anything, cannot solidify anything. All right, so that is the balance aspect of the 7 ideals. And then we get the order. So with the order, I would liken it to the solar plexus, right? So this is where like your whole decision making would come from. This is where if you're saying, well, this is what I'm doing, that conviction that you have, you know, Heron season, we speak a lot on the solar plexus in Heron. This is where that gut feeling, and we always say that when it's coming from the gut, then you definitely know that is the message that you need to listen to. And in previous episodes, probably 3 years ago, maybe in convo with people, I've said that that is where also this whole principle would be coming from. As much as, because some people ask, like they're expecting like a Casper the Ghost kind of situation, your grandmother's gonna pop out from the plot here, but we use a lot of symbolism a lot, you know, and at times when you are in tune with yourself there, and when you're in tune, it's more audible for you to hear it. But all of us, we do have that mind, more, right, where if you need to navigate or make a decision, you always know, oh man, I should have listened to my gut. So that is where I would liken that principle in one of the 7 ideals, go the solar, right, providing the order, providing the structure and all of that. And then morality, that would be now the sacral chakra. So if you're struggling a lot with that, if you're struggling with making what you call good decisions, you know, like we're saying that, we don't like saying good and bad things, but things that just are, right? But that's the low vibrational language that provides us with such, I don't know, but it's just, things are just not good, not bad, but for ease of understanding and for ease of addressing certain energies of how energies vibrate, would say the good, knowing how to differentiate between the good and the bad. That is where the morality would come into play, right? And from that on, because that is your creation point, we're gonna liken it to the sacral chakra point. And then the harmony, we know yeah, and I don't know, like when I was receiving this one, the harmony, like a lot of green was in my head, like that stone air thing. But and then the last one, yeah, reciprocity, that is where the third eye, or the first eye as I'd like to call it, reciprocity, do unto others as you'd like to be done unto you. What you call, yeah, when you're able to see how things affect somebody else, you're able to reflect it to your own self, though. Even though we usually start with imposing things on people and then we don't know how to receive those people back. But while still on a little bit on reciprocity, I think this is also like linking to the principle in your karma, you know. So I've seen a lot of spaces, the spiritual spaces, people are saying, oh no, there's no such thing as karma, no, people live happily ever after. But that is now the misunderstanding of what the principle of karma is, right? So it's just a word, like I'm saying, with language provides us with things that we can name and attach and give labels to other things, right? But it's a universal law. So it's not a matter of you believe it or not. It's a universal law. It might not happen in the exact same way as it happened, or whatever it is, or how you are expecting it. You know, this is how reciprocity also happens. You know, just because you feel like 5 randa today does not mean that tomorrow it's going to own 5 randa, but maybe you taking care of my plants when I'm away, that is you having a reciprocal, is that the word, relationship with me, you know, I got you, you got me kind of thing. So with karma, how it works is, it's what you put out is what you receive, as within, so as without. So it's just a word, doesn't mean just because you did something bad and other people go live happily ever after. Sometimes we don't get to see the show, you know, we don't get to witness the show, but life, the universe balances itself out, you know. So that is why we're still here until maybe let's all decide one day, yeah, from the core, there's gonna be lava and we just explode. It explodes there in the sky itself. We don't know, but the universe will always balance itself out. But the timing is not up to you, right? But anyway, so those are the 7 chakra points, what I would liken it to, but don't take it as gospel yet. By next year, I should definitely be sure. But spiritual downloads haven't failed me so far. But there is room for correction. Like I say, this is a knowledge sharing session. It's not a knowledge provision. Yeah, we're sharing the knowledge up in here. And then the final part that I want us to close off this episode with is the animals. I said we're gonna do their own little episode, but I think we can wrap it up in like 2 little minutes. But anyway, we touched a bit on the ostrich. So I just want to mention them quickly. So we have the heron, the owl, the ostrich, but we're going to speak extensively on the ostrich. So with the owl, I know in a lot of things, you'll see with the episode that we're going to upload, Prof. Matole Moteha, how there's a lot of things that the system that we found ourselves in has demonized for us to be unplugged from, right? So, so with the owl, there's a notion of yeah, Amethyst and whatnot, right? So, but because now you are actively seeking being in alignment with the season, you know, so you know that if seeds can go 18, can and don't automatically think that, yeah, Tagati, right? Even though other healers, they can unpack them, okay, no, different owls would mean this, different owls would mean that. But any animal can literally be used in low vibrational spells. Nah, that's just my take. But anyway, but we've also demonized the poor owl. But in all these animals, the connecting thread between all 3 here is now there's speed. And I want to touch on speed. I wish this was live so that like I'm if I forget. But I want to touch on the speed. I want to touch on the wisdom. Okay, yeah, similarities. The wisdom. It's the speed. It's the, if you see also the eyes are quite significant eyes, especially the owl, the ostrich, right? So they have big eyes. And when we speak about the ostrich, I'm gonna speak a little bit on that, on the eye, the ostrich as well. But also, you know, the head, the owl, how it can also be in nice rotation, right? And also because the owl in other instances would signify death, and death is said that it's sometimes a symbolism for transformation, right? So death does not necessarily mean the end of life per se, but some transformation that is actually happening. And in the season Ena, right, we just come now from the chaotic season, and I said we're coming now into this new season, and now we're gonna, after the season, we're going into the season Ena ya Nut, where umkhathi uvulekile, right? We're gonna speak about that. Super excited about that as well. So if you remember, we spoke about the feather Ena ya Ma'at, right, that if you'd see in royal houses, on the monarch, yeah, the royal house, the closest one that we see now, the ceremony that they have in Kenya, I forgot, is it Nyasa? Is that what they call it? But also the monarch, the Zulu kingdom, you'd see the feather of Ma'at, and if you see like ancient depictions of this principal Ma'at, or a representation, yeah, the king or the monarch, you'd see the feather Ma'at is quite prevalent, which is what the lady Ma'at, lady of truth and justice, would also be wearing, right? And this is the same feather that is weighed against the heart, go the scales, right, where your deeds are checked or not. But anyway, so this article that I read, it sums it up so nicely, I think better than how I would have ever presented it. So I'm going to sum it up a little bit to give a gist of what he's saying, right? Anyway, so besides the feather ma'at representing, I think when we started we said no, feather ma'at would represent the royal house, or is it regalness or regality? What's the actual word? But things are regal just as much as the color purple, or shades of color purple would represent royalty and all of that, which links back to Ma'at Wahona, and said Ma'at also get the keeper of the lapis lazuli, which is also another royal stone. So everything with Ma'at has to do with regalness. We're making it a word if it's not a real word, but it has to do with all of that. But then now, into this article, so in the 3 points that he makes, he says, why was the feather Ma'at chosen by the ancients, the Kushite Kemite people, as a representation of truth, or this principle, this energy dynamic truth? It's because now the ostrich is the only animal, the ostrich is only indigenous to Africa. So within the borders of Africa, this is where you'd find the ostrich, right? So it's a large bird. It's a large bird. They call it a mammal. I can't tap into my biology to say what mammal is. But this is based on an article, But anyway, so where was I? Yes, so this bird is only indigenous within the borders of Africa, right? Meaning, then there's a saying that he points to, Hori, the truth can only be found in Africa. So this is reason one. Reason two that he stipulates here is that now, with we spoke about it last week, right, about the eye and the sense of sight when coming to truth, and we said her lady justice blindfolded like it. And funny enough, I actually bumped into something that he wrote along the lines there as well, right, when I was going down his page there. Anyway, so the ostrich feather, you know that thing that they say, Hore, the eye, the ostrich is bigger than its brain. So what Kantu expresses here, he says that instead of, because the brain you can sort of train and sort of deceive in a way, but now when you have an all-seeing eye, remember we spoke about the eye last week, right? When you have an all-seeing eye, that you can dispute that this is what you're actually seeing, right? This is what you're actually seeing, whereas with the mind or with the brain, now you can sort of what's the word? we deceive it in a way, right? Convince yourself that things are not how they are seen to be. And then the third point he makes is the speed, the animal, right? So as much as Boma cheetah, but it's the fastest land mammal, but the ostrich is apparently quite faster. And then I want to wrap it up with when we do, or if you've been exposed to content, when they're describing mabai, and also maybe if you are familiar with your totems as well. So there's a bai, kaka, impangela, the guinea fowl, the dots. And in spirituality, or in African spirituality, they would say that The ancestors, by the dots, by the chickens, things that are represented by flight, our ancestors that are quick acting, right? Which is what also the truth does, once it comes out, it heals a whole lot of things, That's why with some people, when they get into difficult situations, right? If you're further perpetuating the lie, Baba quite angry, whereas if you're presenting the truth, then a better healing comes from that. So I hope I expressed his points nicely, but I agree with them, and it's a dope way of actually expanding on the feather of my art. So please go follow him. He's on Facebook. He writes beautiful articles about this content that we do here, and he debunks a lot of things. Then another point that he made, which wasn't part of history, was how also that whole concept of the ostrich hides away from its enemies by burying its head in the sand is also another Roman Greco lie. But we'll look into that when we touch base on Ma'ati itself. And I wanted us, and then next to Ma'at season, I will speak on how other tribes also liken the egg, the ostrich egg itself. They also it's a symbolism for the virgin birth. And maybe next year we'll also get into the Holy Trinity by kenying Ma'at in it, right? Ma'at, Yehuti, and forgot what the third is. I'll look into it again, or I'll receive the downloads again. But we'll look into that. How can now this ostrich egg be representation of the virgin birth, the immaculate birth that is mentioned throughout history. But thank you so much for joining us on this episode as well. Please do like, please do subscribe, please do engage with us in the comment section. Please show me where I went wrong, because I know sometimes I do live in my head and then I say something that I'm thinking ahead or backwards or whatever it is. But please do open for correction all the time, open for knowledge, learning, and everything else. But Anke Ma'at, happy today. Thank you so much for being on this video. Please, you can super thanks us. Please join the membership program. Please buy the ebooks. Please, support us in all ways that you can. Please do watch the ads. Please don't skip the ads. Thank you so much, Anke Ma'at, and happy today.
Here we go.